My name's Linda Robertson Reinhardt. I'm also the creative behind Rookwood Moon and Rookwood Moon Boutique, and this is my Hekate Story. First off, I'd like to thank Justin Bennett. I've seen videos and I've seen the hashtag Hecate witch tag around, and my story is too good not to share, I think. And I really appreciate Justin opening this up with the invitation for everybody to share their stories, because otherwise I might be too scared to be in front of a camera and make a video like this. It's kind of my first time. Following Justin's questions, the first question is, how did Hecate first enter your life? I was raised in a Baptist family and sent to a private religious school from 6th until 11th grades. And this was in the 80s, so yes, I'm aging myself here. I always felt like an outcast among the other students because I didn't go to church regularly. I was just sent there. And I listened to rock and roll, and I loved fantasy books, and none of that helped me make friends there. I have notes off to the side, so I keep looking over here. All I wanted to do, even back then, was just write books and music and create art. I love drawing. And if we go back to like 10th grade, a girl that had been my friend apparently got saved, and that somehow turned into her getting me out of classes, or out of study hall, to go talk about me getting saved. And it was really weird and uncomfortable, and this went on for days, that I was being taken out of class to be ministered to by my friend who had just converted, I guess, herself, or just got serious about it. And everything she was talking to me about was that I was using God as a fire escape, that I was going to go to hell. And it got to the point that I was afraid to go to bed. I was afraid to sleep. I was afraid I wasn't going to wake up, that I'd die and go to hell or something. And I remember asking my mom to sleep in my bed a particular night because I was so scared. And she, of course, said yes. I had like a full-size bed, and she didn't ask questions, but she knew something was up, right? And that night, I woke up in the middle of the night and was just laying there trying to, looking at my room. And you know how your room is dark, but it's kind of sparkly, like your eyes are adjusting, and there's all sorts of little light, that pinpricks, like, that you can kind of see. And all of a sudden, all of those started to move together, and they created a figure standing at the foot of my bed. And of course, I was terrified. I thought, this is it. This is it. I'm gonna die. And the figure like turned, and she looked at me, and the only word that I had for her was witch. And that just made it all the more terrifying, right? And she moved around the edge of the bed and started to walk up the side, and then I blacked out. And the next thing I knew, I was waking up in the morning. And I know this was not a dream. there, I have no doubt this was real, because this isn't how I dream. Um, I don't normally dream anymore. I don't remember dreams. It's infrequent if I do, but I'm getting sidetracked. The next morning, I woke up and got ready and went to school like normal, and it was the same, but I didn't care anymore. I didn't feel afraid that I was going to die. I didn't feel like I had to really engage in this conversation this person was trying to have with me about stuff that didn't resonate with me. But I do remember being in chapel, because we had chapel once a week and guest speakers sometimes, and you get to the end of the service and everybody's singing a low quiet song, and people who are so moved are supposed to go forward, and someone of authority or teacher or somebody would go and pray with them. And I remember just looking up and down the aisle at the other classmates, and they're singing, and it's like it hit me so heavily. They believe this. They really believe this, and I just don't. And I didn't really have an understanding of why I didn't believe what they believed, and why I was so resistant to it, because it was just, I knew it was not for me. And let's fast forward from there a few years to 19, what did I put it in my notes? In 1991, a witchcraft book was sent to me by a pen pal, and this pen pal and I had exchanged letters for a long time, and I would send her some of my artwork, and I had drawn this woman and a cauldron in front of her, and I'd written over the top, "Rise with the full moon and dance," and underneath I wrote, "Make your wish and take a chance." And she assumed that I was Wiccan or pagan from this, and when it became obvious that I wasn't, she sent me this book, and it was the first time that I'd had a book of this type in my hands, and I began to realize that this was what was calling to me. This was what resonated with me. It wasn't evil. It felt very taboo to be even looking at it, but it resonated in my core that this was what I had been yearning for. And it also gave me another word, crone, that I knew in reading this book that it had been a crone at the foot of my bed. And of course it made me re-examine a lot of what had happened at that time and rethink about it. And that was when I understood that it was Hecate. And I go back and forth. Sometimes I say Hecate, sometimes I say Hecate. So it was like Hecate had stepped into my life to spare me the feelings that I needed to listen to what these other people were saying, that they were trying to make me believe, because nothing they said mattered to me after that. It didn't have an impact. It didn't mean anything. I just knew who I was. And after all of this, after the book and years later, still writing, I ended up writing the Persephone Alcmedi series for Simon & Schuster's Pocket Books. This was 2009 to 2013. And Persephone was the main character. She'd been raised by her grandmother, whose name was Demeter. And of course, in the story, they encounter Hecate in certain circumstances within the story. But all these years later, I am an author, an artist, and a composer. And it's all those things that I wanted to do back when I was a kid in school. And my 6th album was released recently. It's called Ritual, and I wrote it specifically to go with rituals that I was doing, because finding music online, you're changing the key, you're changing the tempo, and it's jarring sometimes. So I wanted something that was seamless, that would play for each part of the rite and actually be cinematic and build the energy the way I wanted it to, the way I heard music in my head. So I wrote this album, and it recently came out, so it's streaming everywhere. And I guess at this point I want to say, before I go on to question 2, that I've also been channeling for 2 years now, which led me to a coach earlier this year, and that involved some very wild and deep experiences that have assured me that Hecate's energy is still swirling all around me. Question 2. What aspect or epithet of Hecate do you connect with most, and why? Well, I may not say these right, but I'm going to do my best. Nyctophania melano. I like to put those two together because they mean night shining and soothing one, and that takes me back to that night that she came to me unbidden and claimed me as her own and gave me strength to stand as I am in the face of people who wanted desperately for me to believe something else. And I also like tricephalos, which means three-headed. I like this one because I feel three-headed as well, because I'm an author, an artist, and a composer. And phosphorus, Lightbringer. I love lanterns. I have many in my house. So the warm glow and that cozy feeling, and just the idea of being a light bringer really seems to resonate with me. Question 3. How do you honor Hecate in your daily or monthly practice? Okay, so I've considered myself a witch for 30-some years now, but I have not always had a regular presence during that, or regular practice during that time. Since I started channeling about 2 years ago, things have been aligning that have directed me back to Hecate and back to that moment with that, with her standing at the foot of my bed. And I mean, I could go into, what I do in ritual and stuff, and I'm sure so many people who are engaging in a video like this, telling their Hekate story, are going to cover all of those things like that. But I feel like the way I connect is with music. Like, it's not just in a ritual, because when I'm composing, I lose time. It's not just me. I'm channeling something else in the creation of my art and my stories and my music. And I decided to do a subliminal with like Hecate and put music to that and just make it for myself. And I did, and I've been listening to it, looped, overnight. And I thought, I have to share this. And it was so much fun, and it felt so good to create this that I've gone on and created many more that I'm going to be sharing in the days and weeks to come. I'm releasing them on the Rookwood Moon YouTube, where this video will be. And I'm shooting for Tuesdays and Fridays for now through October, and then slow it down to just one a week. Question 4. Do you have a dedicated altar or space to her, and what is on it? Well, I have a lantern, books about her that I'm currently reading, a journal, my wand, and a deck of cards that are specific to her, that I not that they're themed around her, but like I use them for connecting with Hecate specifically and only. And like sometimes if I do a reading with another deck, I will draw a card from that deck as Hecate's voice weighing in on this reading. Question 5. What offering do you most enjoy giving Hecate, and what do you think she enjoys? Well, I tune in and I listen, and it varies a lot. Sometimes it's something sweet, sometimes it's a shot of whiskey, sometimes it's flowers, and sometimes it's something I'm eating. Like I will be having something and I'm just like, she'd like this, and I put some on the altar for her. I'm just sharing with her like I would with a friend. Number 6. Has Hecate ever appeared to you in a dream, vision, or moment of crisis? Well, back to question 1, that was definitely a moment of crisis for me, and she absolutely appeared. So number 7. What lesson has she taught you that changed your life? She taught me that I don't need to be anything other than what I am. I don't need to be anything other than what I choose to be. And that when people who hold different beliefs try to place demands on me, those demands are about those people. They're not about me. I don't owe them my time, my headspace, or my compliance. I know my path, and I don't have a problem with anybody walking their religious path, whatever resonates with them and gives them that sense of wholeness inside. Is if that's working for them and giving them that, they should do that. I know where mine is. So while I give others the respect of knowing their own place and their own path, I want that too. I want people to respect that I know myself and I know my path. Question 8. How does your queerness or identity influence your devotion to her? I'm a straight woman, and I don't see how that has any bearing for me specifically. The way that I identify or my sexual orientation does not seem to have a specific role in my connection with Hecate. But I absolutely appreciate the stories that I'm hearing and seeing in these videos and online elsewhere, about how Hecate's energies are and acceptance and the strength and empowerment that she gives. I love hearing these stories of how people find what they need through Hecate. Question number 9. What's your favorite Hecatean ritual, spell, or sacred tool? I love old keys and the lanterns, and I'll leave it at that. Number 10. What advice would you give to someone just starting a path with Hecate? Because I channel, and I believe everyone can channel, because I believe that our soul or our higher self can speak to us through that channeling and can connect to deities and the universe at large to speak to us, to give us those messages. I would just say tune in and reach out, and then be quiet and listen and see what comes to you. See if there are numbers you keep seeing or symbols you keep seeing, and dig into that and trust yourself. Also, because of how she introduced herself to me, I firmly believe that if something is too much for you, you can give it to her. You don't have to carry it. You can give it to her, and it will be better. She will help you find the way to deal with that, get past it, or whatever resolution you need from it in that moment. Okay, so to wrap up, please like and follow if you want to know more about my books. I will put my website in the details below. Please check out the subliminals that I have also on this channel. Check out the music that I have that's streaming. I've scored several of my books, so I have a lot of cinematic, kind of epic, really kind of heavy, because I'm a rock and roll girl from back in the day. I have artwork on imprint. There's links to that on my website too. Again, I'm new to all of this video stuff, so if you've watched it, if you've got this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing your Hecate stories online in the future. Blessed be.